Hello, friends of Attica Night Talk. Let's talk about a big thing in a neighboring country today. The Liberal Democratic Party of Japan has elected a new president, San Takaishi. If all goes well, she will become Japan's first female prime minister. The media are in an uproar, but most Western media have gone off track. They either say it's an advancement in women's status or nervously analyze how tough she is on neighboring countries. All of this was seen, but none hit the mark. The rise of Saori Takaishi to power is not a simple change of political figure. It's a sign that a country has decided to change its way of life after decades of political turmoil, economic stagnation, and cultural confusion. She is not a consensus-building politician. She is a warrior of faith, known as the Iron Lady of the Reiwa era, Japan's Margaret Thatcher. Her rise to power was essentially Japan's choice of a clear, rightward path. This is Japan's decision to put its own interests first, to re-strengthen its economy, to strengthen its defense, and more importantly, to strengthen its cultural immune system to resist a highly corrosive virus of thought that is sweeping across the West. Let's start with the economy. Kaohsiung's economic policies are known as early seedling economics. The core idea of this program is one sentence: the economy serves the country. She repeatedly emphasizes a concept called comprehensive national strength. What does it mean? It's economic power, national defense power, diplomatic power, technological power. These things are a whole, and a strong economy is the foundation of all of this. This may sound like nonsense, but it's actually a correction of the globalization ideology of the past few decades. In the past, people thought that the economy was all about the market and that capital would go wherever it made money. But Kaohsiung Seomyo doesn't see it that way. She believes the economy is meant to be strong. So her policy is very clear: to break the old austerity rules. She openly said that economic growth should take precedence over fiscal discipline. A temporary deficit in the national finances is not a big deal as long as the economy is growing. So she advocates for aggressive fiscal spending and bold investment in crisis management and growth. To put it bluntly, the country is spending money to invest in its own future. She also proposed tax credits and cash subsidies for low-income people. This is a real way to give money to the people and stimulate consumption and domestic demand. In terms of foreign trade, her stance is clearer: Japan first. She has been critical of previous trade deals with the United States, accusing them of unequal terms and suggesting that renegotiations could be possible if it is found that the deal harms Japan's national interests. She also stressed that manufacturing, including parts production, must remain within Japan and that the government should strongly support it. You see, this package of punches has a very clear goal: no longer blindly believing in so-called free markets and international rules, but using the power of the state to firmly hold economic sovereignty in its own hands. This is not a simple economic stimulus plan. It is forging a sharp economic sword for Japan's resurgence. To be economically independent, to be militarily and diplomatically independent. Takaishi's second major move is to break the post-war shackles that have bound Japan. She is very clear about amending Article 9 of the current constitution. This article stipulates that Japan cannot have an army, but only self-defense forces. Takashi City is going to rename the self-defense forces as the National Defense Forces. She believes that the current constitution of Japan, which was formulated during the occupation period after World War II, is no longer in line with the demands of the times and is even restricted in legislation. A completely new constitution of Japan must be formulated. The implications of this move are far-reaching. This marks Japan's intention to completely shake off its status as a World War II defeated nation and become a normal country with full sovereignty. In terms of diplomacy, she has inherited Abe Shinzo's free and open Indo-Pacific strategy and is notoriously hawkish in her tough stance towards China. She advocated for tough diplomacy, and that if a neighbor did something unreasonable, Japan should speak out clearly. At the same time, she stressed strengthening cooperation with the United States, South Korea, the Philippines, and other countries. Her approach is not isolationism, but to use all diplomatic means to safeguard Japan's national interests under the principle of Japan first. At this point, one unavoidable topic must be brought up: Yasukuni Shrine. Takashi-san has been visiting the Yasukuni Shrine for years. Every time she visits, neighboring countries protest, and Western media take it as evidence of her right-wing ideology. But many people couldn't figure out why she insisted on going under so much pressure. It's not a simple matter of historical attitude. It's a carefully calculated political act. In the conservatives' view, the visit is not to glorify the war, but to reject an externally imposed, permanent narrative of guilt. It is sending a clear signal to the people at home, especially the conservative voters. Takaichi Saori, will not yield to foreign pressure, and Japan has the right to honor those who die for the country in its own way. Including her previous controversial statement that foreign tourists were kicking deer in her hometown of Nara. Many criticized her for talking nonsense without evidence. But the point of this statement is not at all about whether a deer was actually kicked. The point is that through this incident, she precisely touched upon the Japanese society's concern about foreign shocks and anxiety about the disruption of traditional order. These seemingly outrageous words and deeds are actually her means of political communication to consolidate her image as a patriot and counter external pressure. This leads us to the core topic of today. Is the white left, or woke, ideology that Kaohsiung is really up against? Her social and cultural policy is to build a firewall for Japan to prevent the virus from invading. Look at her claims. Almost every one of them is saying no to the idea of woke. She opposes same-sex marriage and the idea of couples having different surnames, arguing that these would undermine traditional Japanese family values. In a narrative of woke, this is called oppression of individual freedom. But in the view of conservatism, the stable family is the most basic cell of society and the source of national cohesion. While the West is deconstructing traditions with all kinds of dazzling gender identities and family combinations, what Takashi is doing is safeguarding the foundation of Japanese society. Even more interestingly, as Japan's first female leader, she has made it clear that she is not interested in the West's gender equality policy. Her very presence is the most powerful refutation of the woke ideology. She proved with her actions that a woman's success doesn't have to be achieved by defining herself as the oppressed or by attacking traditional social structures. She was unambiguous on the issue of immigration. She advocates restricting foreign land purchases and cracking down on illegal immigrants. She even publicly said that Japan should reconsider policies that allow people with completely different cultures and backgrounds to enter. This is unforgivable xenophobia in the world of woke. But from the perspective of the national interest, it is merely a common-sense practice of a country to maintain its cultural subjectivity and social stability. There is a fundamental conflict between two worldviews behind it. The woke ideology holds that the set of values it defines is universal and should be adhered to by all nations. The conservatism represented by Takaishi-san holds that every country has the right to defend its unique culture, traditions, and social norms. It's not just a policy battle. It's a showdown between national sovereignty and globalist ideology. So, let's look back at the election of Takaichi Saori. It was a landmark event. It marks that Japan is embarking on a trinity project of national rejuvenation. Economically, to be independent. Militarily, to be normal and powerful. Culturally, stick to tradition. These three elements are interdependent and indispensable. Her rise also offers a new possibility to all the developed countries around the world that are struggling with a woke culture war. While the Western world has torn itself apart in endless identity politics and lost its way in nihilism that denies its own history, Japan has chosen a completely different path. A path of regaining national honor, maintaining social cohesion, and undisguisedly pursuing self-interest. The rise of Takaishi-san is not an isolated phenomenon. It may signal the arrival of a new era. It sends a strong signal to the world that nation-states are not outdated and that the silent majority of the world is tired of being lectured by a small group of progressive elites. Japan, led by the new Iron Lady, may have just fired the first shot in a global counterattack against conservatism. Let's wait and see how the world will go. Thank you for watching Attica Night Talk. See you next time.